What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition and episode of the Wrestling Hour right here, first on adfreeshows.com, and of course coming to you at a later date, aka like 24 hours later, to the MyFandom YouTube channel. Dave Sturchio alongside his, I don't want to say sidekick, I don't want to say Robin, because it doesn't make any sense that way. We are equals, Josh, I feel, within this industry. Yep. Or you're just better than me.
We're the Ace and Gary. What was that?
Ace and what? Ace and who?
The ambiguous league. No. Okay, so no, not them. I'm trying to think. Teams.
Anyway, that's Josh Shernoff, and I'm Dave Sturchio, and I hope everybody's having a good week so far. Midweek hump day as we put this out. I'm finally starting to feel a little bit of a resemblance of my voice back because of the events that were over the weekend. We'll get into it. I touched on it briefly on my latest podcast, Turn My Mic Up, which is an audio podcast. You can look that up. If you're a fan of the show, you can be a fan of me as well. But yeah, Josh, let's start there because we got a lot to talk about today. We got the ACW weekend, obviously, we want to start with, but then obviously the biggest thing that ever happened to professional wrestling, really, and that's being, me. Yeah, exactly.
Slaughter in a tables match.
The WWE heading over to Netflix, our reactions, thoughts to the overall presentation. We'll get into all that. But first, how are you? You feeling all right? How you doing? I mean, it's been a couple days since the big show on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I am excited for today. I have notes so I could remember what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
My voice has more or less returned, kind of. We know the people tuning in here, they're here to listen to us talk about Raw on Netflix. But we would be remiss if we did not talk about awesome championship wrestling. The first event that they ever held, which felt like it could have been the 40th event they ever held, with the fan base, the quality of the product, the quality of the production. What an amazing experience. We talked about it. We've all, everyone who was involved has posted on social media, and you don't want to belabor the point, and then they think you're just kissing ass, but the reality is I didn't want to say the best experience I've ever had working an event, because I felt like maybe that was too bold of a statement without me really stopping and considering every single thing I've done, because I've been very, very lucky, very fortunate to be involved in a lot of things. But I mean, top two. It was such an incredible experience. I will say I've never walked out on a stage like that before, with that amount of energy, with that production in a building like that, the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, MJN Convention Center now, but the famed Mid-Hudson Civic Center, to walk out on that stage where I've talked about it ad nauseum, watching Rob Van Dam, Taz, guys like Tommy Dreamer and Little Guido actually at Hardcore Heaven 99 walk out on that very stage, and now to get to call their matches. Tommy Dreamer, man, he showed up. That I got chills watching that. I don't know about you, but
yeah. I mean, dude, first of all, it's kind of funny you say top two of your career, possibly, because I mean you've done so many things and been so many places. But that was my first show ever, if that makes sense. Like, that was my third show where I participated in, where it was the company's inaugural event. Like, so WrestlePro back in 2016, when that started, I was on their first show. I was competing and doing commentary on their first show. No, was I just competing? I think I was just competing. But then obviously Fight Factory Wrestling last year on the Jersey Shore, my own company, you were involved in that. And now this ACW first show they've ever put on.
You want your first show to be a success, you book Dave Sturchio. That's pretty much what you're saying.
That's basically what, I mean, that's basically what it breaks down to. But I find Hale and Vic, the two owners of Awesome Championship Wrestling, I find those guys to be very, very like-minded to me. Like, very similar
I don't
goals.
think you need to insult them.
Similar aspirations, similar, just wanted everything to go not just right, because of course that's what you want, but like
Right.
the presentation, the everything that goes into this. Like it's not a VFW with a couple of legends and we're gonna just go at it, brother. You know what I mean? Like, no, this was so much bigger, and they made you feel that way the moment you walked in the door. I remember I got there like, I don't know, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes before you did. And I just, when I walked into the place, and first of all, I've never been there. You've been there, you've worked there. Um, I walked in there and I'm just like, I'm looking around, taking it all in for a second. I'm like, damn, there's a lot of history here. And like you feel like every piece of that history is actually surrounding you. And you get engulfed in that. And then I'm running into some of the boys that I know, some of the boys that I don't know, right? And I'm introducing myself to some people, and some people are happy to see me for the umpteenth time because we've crossed paths in forever locations. But just overall, the presentation, the locker room, both physically, the locker room of being like this massive locker room for everybody with catering, and just like it's like, what are we doing? Like I there was multiple times like that I kind of walked around and I interacted with certain people, and I'm just like, there were certain times I had to stop and say like, I have no business being here right now.
It,
Like no business. And and maybe that's just a testament to my self-deprecating like personality, but like I'm walking around and like even guys like Crowbar, who I spoke to last night on the phone for 15 minutes because of certain ideas that he was like, "Hey, I'm going to call you." And I'm like, what world am I living in right now? Where I'm just like, I'm getting a phone call from a legend like Crowbar just to talk some shit about potentially just reinvigorating different things and ideas. And he's asking me for my advice, my critique, and then like he saw me at the show and he put our show over. And I'm like, well,
yeah.
we didn't clip up anything. We didn't clip on it. So somebody had to send him that, and he thanked us up and
Which we
down.
appreciate. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
He thanked me for what I had said about him, and it took me a second. I'm like, I mean, I know I've never said anything but good things about him, but I was like, when did I say it
right.
publicly? And then I was on the show I said it.
And I find out very easily that this locker room in particular, and when I say locker room, I mean like the guys and the girls that are involved in the show, whether it be referees, commentators, announcers, the stars themselves, even legends that are walking around. Saw Tony Atlas picking at some, the corn shit like that. Oh, and not from people's toes. Just like, putting, yeah, well, that's but I saw legends doing their thing, and then referee Keenan, and then Tommy Dreamer, and like all these guys that are walking around, and I couldn't have felt more at home and comfortable. And that's a big thing for me. Like if I'm walking around a show, and I don't know about you, but like if you don't know anybody and you're just kind of keep it to yourself, and you're just like, okay, they know why I'm here, but like it was the meeting that really drove it home for me, because I don't know about you, and I'm not trying to pull back the curtain too much to people that are beyond the guardrail, but like there was a moment where I think it was Hale who said, the meeting was being run basically by Tommy Dreamer, Hale, and Vic, and they were just kind of talking about the history of the venue and this, that, and the third, and then the order, and like, let's get with me. But they stopped and made a point to say, hey, if you have any notes, those two guys over there, Dave and Josh, they're the commentary team. Those are the guys you want to go see, to make sure that if you want any kind of story told within your match or a move that you named or whatever, those two guys right there. And everybody looked at us, and we had to do like the heroes, like, hello, that's us,
That's us. Yeah.
Hi, I'm over here. But like, again, it just felt like we were treated like upper management, and we're not, you know what I mean? Like it was just
So
a real feeling overall, dude.
Yeah. So I'll say a couple things to your point with that. One, this was my third time in that building. I talked about the first time where, man, I mean, I was a fan. I was working. I had my press pass. I'm there with Bill Apter. I was 15 years old. I was a fan, through and through. I was in Disney. Like that was it.
Right.
You're talking about a kid from outside of Philly, an ECW show backstage in 1999. The prime of Dudley's were still there. Taz was still there. This was like, so to say I felt like part of the family there, I didn't. I felt like, why am I here? How am I here? Oh my God, I don't want to breathe the wrong way. and everyone was awesome to me. Don't get me wrong, but then I was there one other time a couple years ago for Fight. I went for an Impact Wrestling show, which, obviously we've talked about Impact and TNA, two different beasts, TNA at this point. But Impact, I mean, the bleachers weren't even open. They didn't draw half of what Awesome Championship Wrestling did. At that time, obviously, they're doing great now and everything. And hey, this show was headlined by the TNA World Champion. So, but being there too was kind of, it felt like an indie show. It didn't feel like I had remembered the ECW event. And still, I felt like, I'm here for Fight. Like, I always felt when I was there for Fight, like they kind of had to have me, right? Like, here's the dude, he works for the network where we're airing the stuff. Like, we have to say, oh, happy to have you here, Josh, but you're not a part of it. This one, man, I really felt like we were made to be part of the team. And I'm going to use the term the boys, and I'm referencing the men and the women, but it's an old school term. But this show felt like, for the boys, by the boys. That's what this felt like, because that's what it was. And, when they said everybody who's here was somebody that, we've worked with in the past, that we've had a positive experience with and everything, you talk about kind of that like imposter syndrome of like, why am I, do I belong here? How am I here? And I'll say two things on that. One, totally get it. And I felt like, but I looked at it and said, like, it was one of the most meaningful and gratifying moments to look around and say, to look at what they had built and to understand that they put their trust in us to be the commentary team, to be the voice of this. And then the trust in me to allow me to be a part of the match that featured that featured Hal and Vic. And I don't not only, hey, we're going to give you a little, we'll have, what's that?
Right? You didn't expect that.
No.
Right.
And
that's another testament to them. Knowing your skill set, they were like, oh, he's Dave's color commentator. He's great. But, oh, by the way, he's got another significant role that he's really good at, so we have to double down here.
I mean, but to me, it was not only just like, hey, we'll put you on there, like, oh, okay, hey, he's been cool. We'll let him manage those guys. It was their match. That was this is their company they built, and they trusted me enough not to screw it up, right? Like, I look at that and I go, that speaks volumes. But I will say for you, and then we'll stop getting all mushy here, but I will say, you may have walked around feeling like, why am I, like why me? How did I get here? What, I don't belong in this conversation. But when that show started and that show happened and your commentary happened, I don't think there's anybody that could question why you were there, why you were booked. I think you are hands down, far and away. You put a very nice post about me on social media, about my contributions. But anybody listening to this, Dave, and I'm sure you can clip this up and make this your pinned, video.
Doesn't happen often. This one's going to get the feature.
I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people. There's nobody I would rather call a match with, and nobody that I would rather have calling my show if I were promoting than you. The passion that you bring to it, the knowledge that you bring to it, the seriousness without taking yourself too seriously, if you know what I mean, right? Like, you knocked it out of the park. I do think, selfishly or whatever, I think we're a great team. I think we're I don't think anyone can hold a candle to us. And it's not just because we're so damn good. It's because we work our asses off to be that good. And, I just think you did a hell of a job. And I think you should drop the imposter syndrome. And I think you should, keep your head held high and say, like, yeah, I'm here. Don't get cocky, because then I'll cut you down a peg or two, because that's my gimmick. But But I think you need to really understand there's a reason why you're there, and they're lucky to have you as the voice of ACW moving forward. And I'm appreciative to be able to be a part of that as well. And man, just an incredible experience. Just incredible wasn't there, but
no,
incredible experience. And the one last thing that I will say is if I'm ever in a fight and I am in a 3-on-1 situation and people are beating the crap out of me, please don't send the Sandman to save me. Because I'll be dead by the time he gets there.
Josh, hold on one second. I'm getting word. He is still making his way to the ring. So it is Wednesday. No, listen, for that moment to be booked that way,
it was amazing.
I was like, this is
it was amazing. So cool. But yeah,
it's so cool. But yeah, Sandman did take a sweet ass time. I think the solve to this would have been Tommy Dreamer to just kind of roll out of the ring and then not continue to just get the shit kicked out of him. But poor Tommy
I will say
Dreamer.
With Tommy also, listening to Tommy Dreamer backstage, where he just kind of gave, after one of the meetings, and he gave a little, like, it was just, hey, Tommy, what's your opinion? Because these guys running the show are so experienced and smart enough to understand Tommy Dreamer's there. You asked Tommy Dreamer, right? And I just stood there having nothing to do with it and just listened. And that, I would say, that took me back to sitting next to Al Snow. And I always say Al Snow taught me. I wasn't enrolled in Al Snow's class. I learned from Al Snow sitting next to him while the house shows were going on for OVW before I started wrestling for them. And just listening to him, just having, whether he was talking to me, whether he was talking to himself, whether he was talking to Head, whatever it was, I listened to it. And Tommy Dreamer just saying, hey, you don't want to do this because you do this, you might lose this or whatever. And man, I just tried to just be a sponge and just tried to absorb that. And it's so much fun at this stage in my career and in my life, having been in this business. This is my 26th year in the business, which, I mean, the fact that I'm only 30, it's unbelievable. But
you're 26 years in, and June will make 13 for me, if I'm not mistaken. So you're literally double me. Is that right? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess
I started 2012,
this summer will be
2025. 13, yeah, 13 years for me. So coming up in June. But yeah, just to kind of put a bow on it, great card, top to bottom. They booked tremendous talent. The main event, I can't say it enough that Nick Nemeth is one of the greatest going right now. And if you don't know, or if you don't agree with me, I would just say I'm sorry that you're wrong on this, because he is just on another level. And
I just have to say, I talked to him real briefly after the show, backstage. He had a little, blood coming out of the nose and everything. I was like, hey, man, phenomenal. I was like, how you feeling? And his response to me, he's like, oh, thanks, man. He's like, it was easy. And I'm just like, you motherfucker. Like, it was easy. Man, just put on like a WrestleMania main event quality match, but whatever. Dude, it's just Saturday.
I say this all the time. I say this all the time, but you're in professional wrestling, much like even in commentary, specifically when you're in the ring, you are as only good as your dancing partner. And let me tell you something, Matt Riddle, another pro's pro, bro. Like that dude can go, and those guys put on an absolute clinic. All the footage.
You never know when you've never been in the ring with somebody, right? People are talking about, we'll get to this on Netflix in a second. Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre. There's been a little bit of talk of like, man, that's not what these are two guys like firing on all cylinders. We kind of expected something a little different once they got in the ring together. But the thing is, it's like this dream match, Matt Riddle versus Nick Nemeth, never happened before. Two guys where you're just like, oh my God, they could tear the house down. Or they could have gotten in there and it could have stunk up the place, where they're just like, they're amazing, but the chemistry isn't there, right? Like that's happened many times before. That did not happen at this show. They did not stink up the place. They tore that place down.
I think the only repeat match was the Now and Sent to Slaughter. They've danced plenty.
Yeah.
But like everybody else, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been a first time for a lot of these guys, and for whatever reason, they were just able to gel and click. Like Tommy Dreamer, like he was never in the ring with the NWA World Champion. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm not the complete historian that knows every single match.
Speaking of history, though, how about that? Which I didn't know until that day.
First ever.
The first ever defense of the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. That
First
historic building.
Crazy.
And, we had the opportunity to call that. And not just call that, but have it be Tommy Dreamer in there, who, like, is just listen, he's a Hall of Famer. He's going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame one day.
Should be.
He just has to be.
It's a crime that he's not already, but
yeah, but it's man, just what an incredible show.
I feel like it was a missed opportunity last year being in Philadelphia. That would have been perfect for Tommy Dreamer. I know it was Heyman.
I think they could have stacked it with ECW people.
I think so too.
I don't think anyone would have had an issue with that at all.
Not at all. We mentioned Crowbar before. He had an absolute banger with Anthony Green. I haven't seen Anthony Green in a long time personally, and the first thing he said to me was, call me by the wrestling name and stuff. And I haven't seen him in so long, and he could still absolutely bring it.
Dude, I hadn't seen him in a while either, and noticeably better.
Yes.
And I don't mean that to say like he wasn't good before, but I was like, this guy's something clicked between the last time I saw him and this time. That's what happens in somebody in someone's career, or it never clicks, and but something clicked with him. It's something I've noticed with like a GKM in the last couple of years. Because I remember when I first saw him, I'm like, this kid's good. Like good high flyer, solid in there. And then I feel like in the last maybe 2 years, last year or so, I feel like something clicked, and he's gone to that next.
And I actually was privy to the walkthrough, again, pulling back the curtain a little bit, the walkthrough between Real One, Enzo, GKM, and his names are missing me right now, the junior heavyweight champion of NWA. But I'm sorry about that. But those guys, what you could tell, and what Zoe was telling me in the back of his plans of the near future, look out. Like, and he even said, he's like, listen, you're probably one of only 2 people to know this, so if it gets out, I know it was you. And I was like, okay, sorry.
Also, he doesn't know that I heard it too, so I can just leak it and he'll blame you.
Right, exactly. But yeah, no, like, he's got some big ass plans for the world.
Taylor, where are they in there with
Taylor? That's right. The Two-Man Taylor. That's what he was calling him.
Yeah.
That's how it makes sense. But yeah, top to bottom, and obviously there's a brand new first ever inaugural champion from the 20-man Royal Rumble type scenario thing, which they did very, very well. It was great to see a lot of those guys. Again, a lot of them I've never seen before, but a lot of them made sure that, hey, this is their moment. This is their 5-6 minutes. Make the most of it. I think there was obviously a bunch of youth in there as well, some inexperienced guys, but when you get in there with the experienced guys, they'll smarten you up and they'll quicken up your learning process.
It's the only way to get better.
Only way to get better. The way they booked that, the number 1 and number 2 guy go all the way to the end. That was the first time I ever saw Wrecking Ball Legursky as a babyface. And he had mentioned it to me prior to, because he wants to come back and do work with the Fight Factory. And he goes, "Do you think we can go babyface? Because that's where I'm better at." I was like, "Really?" And I look at this guy. I'm like, "You don't look like a babyface."
Don't think so, but then you see him,
and you see it, and I'm like, "Damn!" Now I get it. Like now I understand what he was talking about. He delivered. Richard Holiday, bro, he's just on another level right now, and now he's the first ever champion. He's been doing his thing all across the independents, and you talk about a guy who didn't even know if he was going to take these breaths in 2025, right? I mean, this guy is breathing rarefied air. He says it all the time, and he means it.
And now he gets to defend. They've already announced the first title defense is going to be against Matt Cardona, May 17th, back at the MJN Center. I'm, look, I'm torn. I don't know. Matt Cardona, this is something that normally he would run something like this by me. But
Yeah,
I
your
just,
shocked face was pretty damn good when he appeared on the screen. You were like,
yeah,
you had no idea that was happening.
look, I'm, it was, I was surprised, but at the same time, I'll feel bad for Richard Holiday, but I can't wait to call Matt Cardona winning another championship. It's exciting
How do
to
you
me.
feel now? Just pull it, just personal preference and booking 101, and you've
Hmm.
booked matches, and you like the stories and stuff. And I'm not saying this is going to happen because I don't know, but you just said it. Like, oh,
Hmm.
I can't wait to call Matt Cardona winning another championship.
Sure.
How do you feel about crowning a champion, right? And then taking it right off on the next show? Is that something that you would do as a booker?
I think it depends. Depends on who it is. Depends on the scenario. I always think that the story trumps all, right? I think the story it depends on how it's told and if it makes sense. And I don't think, look, you're going to have your time where, especially in the beginning, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but in the beginning of a company, it's sometimes like, you know, having the name value associated with the champions, the lineage of it. It's very tough to build a lineage when there's only been one champion, you know? So
True.
sometimes it's not the end of the
But you
world.
also don't want to rush it either. You know what I
No,
mean?
you don't. You don't. And
If you think you're going to be a long withstanding company, you'd be like, yeah, listen, that guy over there, he'll get
mhm,
his time. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah.
let's start off
I
by
also think there's going to
having
be some
a run.
question here about how, there's a lot of question about how Richard Halliday, and you guys will watch the video and make your own decisions, but how he came about becoming champion. So the question is, maybe Richard Halliday, what he needs to do is maybe he needs a clean victory over someone like a Matt Cardona to be able to solidify, hey,
I,
you may not think I earned this, but I earned this.
I could tell you one thing: Wrecking Ball Ligursky will not be far away. So you better get right. You better get right because I'm telling you right now, that dude is a force. Anyway, look, incredible, incredible, incredible event. We can't wait to the next one. We got hired and brought back for the next one. Very excited about that. Our forever thanks to everybody that's involved in there, specifically Vic and Hale. And those guys are just top notch. And Hale made it the point again to DM me yesterday and just say, thank you guys. Like, you guys are part of the family now. Like, this is big stuff. Let's ride this together. And that's just a great feeling. And I said that a lot about on my podcast yesterday, of just feeling appreciated. And I think that's maybe why I had this imposter syndrome, because where I was, and I'm not knocking where I was, but what I will say is when I went there on any given show day, you didn't feel very important. You didn't feel very like, you just, all right, go put your bag over there, sit down at the table, do your thing. Like, maybe if you need something to eat, you got to go like down the block. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like
It was even that, man. I brought my own cash to buy lunch
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
well,
just so what I'm used to is some indies,
right. But
not
they
all
just like,
obviously,
and
but
that's
no, they had Texas Roadhouse sponsored the. I mean, come on, man. You know what it reminded me of, and then we'll hop off of this because I know people want to hear about Netflix. It reminded me, and this is a bold statement, but there aren't a lot of people who were lucky enough to be in my position to be at both. Um, it reminded me a lot of Double or Nothing, the first AEW pay per view. I was lucky enough to be backstage there, and not just because Tommy Dreamer was, clearing out catering in both. It wasn't that. Um, it was no. It felt. This felt a lot to me like the beginning of AEW. And I'm not, people could go, oh, yeah, you can't compare it. I'm not saying, oh, they're going to be on TNT and all that. It's not what I'm saying. In the beginning of AEW, which felt very, very different the last time I was there, but in the beginning of AEW, it felt like this. It felt like a bunch of people who were excited to be appreciated, who had been handpicked to be a part of something. It felt like a family. It felt like this excitement for what we were building.
right.
And that's what this felt like. So congratulations to everybody. It was awesome. literally and figuratively. And now
Yeah,
I think it's time to talk something else.
Can't wait to the next one, man. That drive is going to be a lot more. It's a lot better when you go up there and you know what you're in store for. You know, because when you're driving there, you know, I crushed through the DDP episode, not the DDP episode. What episode of this Chris Van Vliet did I listen to? I don't know. I listened to two of them on the way up, and that kind of just killed the ride. No, I didn't get the chance to listen to that one yet. I'm very excited about that one, though.
That's a good one, too. I used to hear about Sheamus all the time when I drove with Wade Barrett and Drew McIntyre. They would always talk about their buddy Sheamus, who at the time I think was down in FCW. But it would always just be like some random story about when they were coming up with Sheamus and stuff. So to hear Sheamus' side of it and just some of the things that he, had to say about Drew, and where he mentioned that he still can't understand what Drew says. And it's just it was really cool. And I finally met Sheamus a few years ago. I was at the airport in Nashville. No, I was in Nashville coming home from Ric Flair's last match. Not the match itself, but the press conference. So I was flying home. I'm in the Nashville airport, and all of a sudden I see Sheamus and Drew, and which is always fun. Like, I always think about it and I go like, man, like when I was a kid, I would have killed to have bumped into wrestlers at the airport. Never happened, but now, so I see it. So I walk over and I kind of like shoulder block Drew. And by shoulder block, I mean, I hit his forearm with my shoulder. And I'm like, this guy doesn't even lift, kind of just getting right. Drew turns around, starts laughing, but I see out of the corner of my eye, Sheamus is ready to throw down. Because Sheamus, he's ready to kick my ass. Like, are we gonna
night, baby?
And then you can see Sheamus's face go from ready to fight to confusion as like Drew and I hug, right? Like, and he's just like, and then, then I got to meet him and stuff. But it was the first time I met him. It was, after all those years. And he was awesome. And we took a nice picture together where you really can appreciate just how small I am. And
so, speaking of something that wasn't small, WWE's debut on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
Listen.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's chat about it a little bit, right? So let me tell you something. I've been watching professional wrestling since, I don't know, 1992, right? So and obviously I catch up on all the history leading up when the network comes out and you get the ability to come out and, watch all the past stuff. And I've been through every era, for the Attitude to the whatever the hell, to the PG, to whatever they're doing now. I've seen it all, right? And when the first opening thing starts and the show opens, I got to tell you, for the first time in quite some time, I was standing watching my TV. Like, I wasn't just like, like just doing that. I was standing in front of my television in awe, because when I saw that first opening montage that they had playing on the screens around the ring,
which I didn't even realize those were around the ring. I thought it was.
Dude, I knew it.
I thought it was a projection on like. I thought maybe because I wasn't familiar with the arena, so I thought, oh, maybe they've got this like weird dome thing around, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't thinking until it dropped down, but no, continue.
Yeah, no, the opening montage of all that, it was just, it gave you all the goosebumps that you can possibly have. And then my first gut reaction was, this is going to drop and reveal the new ring, which the new ring is, loaded with sponsors, but it's not as egregious as I thought it was going to be. It's not bad. It just feels like I'm watching a UFC.
So let's talk about that. A couple things that I have my notes here that I wanted to get your thoughts on. The video package, to me, one thing that stood out, it did not feel like it was talking about the evolution of WWE. It felt like it was talking about the evolution of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so cool. The way that they showed WCW as stories being told. I mean, the way that they told this story of a carnival with these medieval, roots, with then to talking about how television created it and created this new ability to enjoy it. And then they showed WCW and they showed, like, I just felt like it really was just saying, like, professional wrestling has led to this. We are the leader. It was planting the flag and saying we are professional wrestling. This is what professional wrestling is. This is what it has evolved to. Every other place is is following us, which is true. I mean, that's true. AEW follows WWE. TNA follows WWE. It's absolutely true. But it felt like they weren't washing over history and going, this is just WWE. They were saying this is bigger than everything. Mm-hmm. And the best example is, I mean, if you look, AEW just debuted on Max. I mean, I wish them the best. AEW looked like their production got better, a little brighter. Things looked, better. And I really, really want to see them succeed. But I think two things. One, just the difference between WWE on Netflix and AEW on Max and the presentation of like what a big deal this was to move to streaming and to do stuff like that. And AEW was just kind of just another day for them and didn't really acknowledge it the same way. I think between that and just AEW will never beat WWE. No one will ever beat WWE. AEW will never compete, in my opinion, with WWE again. Outside of contracts, just because of the fact that Tony Khan has the money, I don't think they'll ever compete again. I do think that AEW can build itself up to be a phenomenal alternative, a phenomenal addition in professional wrestling. But WWE has, it's I feel like 2019, there was an opportunity, and I feel like the window closed. And I just don't think WWE, I think they're untouchable now.
Yeah. And, and like when the montage was over and I started to think to myself, somebody's standing, I said to my kids, I was like, guys, somebody's standing in the ring. Somebody is. And I don't know who it's going to be, but somebody's going to be there. And then I thought to myself, there's nobody it should be other than Triple H. Right. And I was like, I don't know who it's going to be, but it better be him. And when it revealed him, I can't even imagine. I really can't. Like I felt really good when I did the Fight Factory thing, and I felt really good when we were at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. You feel good, right? You feel the vibes. I can't even begin to describe what Triple H was probably feeling in that moment when he just the spotlight is on him, and it's all of his hard work in the last year, 2 years, between creative partnerships, everything that this dude has done has turned to gold. And I find it hard pressed. And again, I always say this, whether or not, or however you feel about Vince McMahon, like wrestling is around because of the McMahons, right? And that's not like hyperbole. That's not like that.
100%. It's the truth,
right?
Yeah,
it's a fact. However, I think Vince McMahon would have never gotten to this point. And the reason why I say that is because I think he was very, very complacent with, we'll just switch up some storylines here and there. We'll do this, that, and a third. And we'll make sure that all the biggest guys, like physically bigger guys, are always on top. And like this, that. He had this mindset. Triple H just said, all those doors were great, but I'm gonna close them all. In fact, I'm gonna slam them shut. And I'm gonna do it this way. And the partnerships that they created with the creation of TKO, right, and The Rock being on the board, and Nick Khan, and all these guys, all the faces now that are involved. And while it sounded, when The Rock was out there doing his thing, we'll talk about his promo in a second, but when he's out there, he wasn't the final boss. He was board director Dwayne Johnson, really. And he was like, I want to thank Bill Smith for his Netflix contributions and all that shit. So I get all that, but what I'm saying is Triple H, there's no better person than Triple H to be in the ring to deliver that first message that this was the biggest thing to happen to WWE since its inception, really.
I do want to not take exception, but say one thing to it. I don't believe. I agree with you in theory that Vince McMahon today, forgetting scandal and all that stuff. I'm talking about Vince McMahon. I don't think he could have gotten to this point. I think he could have gotten to a Netflix deal. I think that would have happened with Nick, because I think Nick Khan's such a huge part of that, and I think Vince, things were headed that direction. I don't think Vince could have gotten the company to where it is today, because I think Vince's time creatively had passed. Not 100%, but creatively. Having said that, Triple H never could have built things to where Vince McMahon built things. I think
Fair.
Triple H was the right guy to pick it up and continue on. I think, you have to look at it as look at anything in life that, a piece of technology. Well, you have to trace back. Somebody could create something really great, but what about that person who created the thing that came before that allowed them to understand what this concept was? So I think Vince McMahon, you can never take away his contributions, because he created the concept that Triple H grew up on in a lot of ways. That Triple H sat in creative and learned from Vince McMahon. And now I think it was time for another generation to take over and to move forward with it. And I think this day and age, you needed a guy like Triple H who's experience in the ring. We talk about the for the boys, by the boys. I think that without Vince McMahon, we're never here. We're never where we are in wrestling now. Without Vince McMahon, you and I aren't doing a podcast, in my opinion. Like, it's,
Yeah.
So, that's another thing I guess to blame him for. But I think Triple H was the person to take over. I don't think just anyone could have taken over from Vince and done this. I think that had to be Triple H. But but Triple H was given a lot to kick things off with. You know what I mean?
Sure was.
And that's not to take anything away from him, but I think people want to, because it's so tough, and it's such a tough, and this is going to segue into another conversation. It's very tough to take the personal life of somebody when they've done something despicable and reconcile that with your fandom of their creativity, right? Like, some of my greatest memories of my childhood and my life were created by people that may have been awful, right? Like, that may have been, think about in sports in general, think about, you can't, like, it's, so Vince McMahon, if in fact he's this terrible person, which I refuse to, we have a legal system for these things, and I'm not smart enough and don't know enough to make any opinions. But I will say we do know enough about Vince to know that he may not have always been the most scrupulous. But however you want to, look, in a lot of ways, and I hate to even use this as a parallel, but it's the argument with Chris Benoit that people have. This heinous act of just evil. And it's tough, because if I see a clip of a Chris Benoit match, I cannot help but go, my God, was he fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
that, yeah, like you said, that goes across the board on multiple platforms. Like, when I see
actors, musicians,
when I see Mike Vick drop back to a pass and flick his wrist and it goes 75 yards, I'm like, I've never seen anybody throw a ball like that. Oh, by the way,
horrible piece of shit human being.
Like O.J. Simpson, one of the greatest running backs of all time.
Exactly.
This kind of shit is the thing. Like Donald Trump, one of the greatest presidents of all time.
Nope.
You just have,
no. But the second part, true. No, look, but here's the thing. It is very, very tough. It is very tough to separate those things, which leads us to Hulk Hogan. which in my opinion was
rough,
ill-advised. It was not a good move.
That should have been a video package, because therefore you can show it, and no matter what, you could boo after it, but they can cut that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can cut something else, or just show it to the world on Netflix and not have that dude walk out there and just get completely obliterated. Like,
so here's my take. Here's my take on Hulk Hogan. Okay. The narrative, and look, I love Conrad. I love Eric. We're on Conrad's network here. I listened to their post show. Eric, obviously super close friends with Hulk Hogan, knows him better than you and I do, for sure, right? Mm-hmm. Knows the human being. They echoed what a lot of other people did, which was, man, you don't understand how liberal LA is. This is a blue state. This is, he's, Hulk Hogan. They're not wrong. But I do believe The Undertaker sat with Donald Trump and Kane and talked all about this, that, and the other and everything, and he got a pop. Triple H was seen embracing Donald Trump at the UFC show. And I think, and I can't remember exactly, but I think they cheered Triple H, right? Didn't they give him a little cheer, right? What, or was it like a massive pop maybe? So, yeah. So my point is, while the easiest thing to say is Hulk Hogan is pro-Trump, and Trump's, the MAGA powers T-shirt that he had, and it's Trump and Hogan, and Hogan's at the RNC, and all of this stuff, right? And it's easy to say they booed Hulk Hogan because it's a blue state, because they're liberal, and because Hogan is buddies with Trump.
Or
I don't buy it. I don't think that was it. Because Triple H is buddies with Trump. Because Undertaker is buddies with Trump. Because they cheered Stephanie McMahon. Linda is in Trump's freaking cabinet. So what I'm saying is, am I saying nobody had that correlation and said that maybe there's thing? I'm sure some people were like, oh, I hate Trump, therefore I hate Hogan. Okay. Come on. Let's not pretend that had anything to do with why he was booed.
So basically, I think what you saw there was, whenever the WWE goes to the Garden or they go to Philly, and it's some of the smartest fans that are just like, they understand what transpires in every facet of life when it comes to a professional wrestler. I think that's what it was. Yeah. I think that the fans were like, almost like an eye roll. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like, not Hogan. Not like, not now. This night has been full of great surprises, and you wheeled this dude out there, and he's gonna promote some beer and just brother, this, that, and the third. I think, and of course you cannot omit what he had said in the past, right? Like, I don't even know. And I had a conversation with somebody who was like, well, he made his racist comments in the past. And then after his apology, he went out, he made some racist comments again when campaigning, with Trump about Kamala Harris and stuff. And that eliminates. And I said, I don't think anyone's thinking that deeply. Here's what I think it actually is. I don't think it was the racist comments, because I bet you a lot of those people booing have said just as many bad things. Okay. Probably. So I don't think it was the racist comments. I think it was the disingenuous apology. Hulk Hogan comes back for an apology, and instead of saying what I said was disgusting, what I said was horrible, I don't care if it was private, it's just not something I should have said, and I don't, whatever my reasoning, there is no excuse for it, and I apologize, and I will be better, and I will work hard to be better. Instead, Hulk Hogan said, this is a lesson for all of you, to always be careful, because you never know when you're being recorded.
That is what he actually said backstage, and that was what the issue was. And I think, though, because when I did the interview with Hulk Hogan with Bill Apter for his podcast, Hogan said that, what I just said to you. But he said it in a way of almost like, I don't understand why everybody's so upset. You know, I tried to give them some good advice, and Bill was like, I think we need to cut this because from the interview, because Hulk, and the feeling I got from it was that the dude just right. He just doesn't understand. And I'm not a Hulk Hogan apologist, but what I'm saying is, I think the dude just doesn't get it in a lot of ways. His revisionist history, which I think is why I think he got booed. I'll just put it this way. I think he got booed because fans, they know, as you said, the backstory. They know about the politician. And I'm not talking about Republican, Democrat. I'm talking about the wrestling politics of Hulk Hogan in the past. They know, or at least think they know, right? So there's that. There's the fact that they go, oh, here's Hulk Hogan, brother, coming in here with his brother stuff. He seems so disingenuous. He seems like a guy playing the role of Hulk Hogan. This isn't that same guy anymore. And I think that it's just, here he is again, and it's like, okay, now he's going to rip a shirt off and have another shirt underneath, and we just saw this at the RNC, and then
I have a question. Could he have flipped the script if he was witty enough? Could he have gone Hollywood right then and there and said, like, you know what, you fans, you don't like that, you can stick it like I told you, just stick it in 96. He could have, if he was witty enough.
So Eric said that he felt he saw a look on Hogan's face that was like, do I do it? do I do it?
Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm not alone in thinking that could have been a thing if he was witty enough.
And here's what's great about it. And this is why I say this wasn't political. This is why I say this was not a political thing at all, in my opinion. Because I bet if Hogan had done that, all those people who booed him would have had a smile on their face.
Mm-hmm.
They would have gone, that was fucking great. Had Hogan turned, had Hogan, come out and just turned it into cutting a promo on them and say, you can boo me if you want to. You know what? I don't even want you to drink my real American beer because you're not a real American if you're going to boo Hulk Hogan and all that stuff.
Right.
And look, is that easy for us to sit and say, oh, he should have done this when he's in the freaking moment there getting booed and but I look at it and I think that, I think it was Hulk Hogan, the perceived person, and Hulk Hogan, the old drawn out character. And I just think nobody wanted it. I think people said, we're doing something new. This is something exciting. And I think people are like, I don't want this guy taking up time. There's other talent. It's enough. It's enough with Hulk Hogan. It's enough. I just don't think it had anything to do with politics. And I think that all the people saying, and I'm sorry, I'm stepping all over your toes here, but I think that if they bring Hogan out again somewhere else, I think he's going to get booed again. If they bring him out for Saturday night's main event in Texas, where they're all going to go, it's Texas now. He's good. We're good. This is it. This is where, Trump comes out and they cheer him, standing ovation and everything. I think Hogan's going to come out and I think they're going to boo him because I don't think it's political. I think it's Hogan.
For the old school fan, much like my dear good friend and business partner, Chris Payne, who said, he was feeling all sorts of happiness when he came out because he's a big Hulkamaniac. He was feeling some sort of way. He was like, this is crap. Like, how are they booing it? You know what I mean? Like, so I think the old school fan will appreciate anything that this dude does. If you're an old school Hulkamaniac, that the reason why you watch wrestling is because of Hulk Hogan, and the dog shit words aside, like, you're still a little Hulkamaniac and you're out there. But listen, it's 2025, man. Not everything's going to jive.
No, and it's also tough too because And it bothered me, the booing as well, because my kids were like, why are they booing him? Because they know that Hulk Hogan was this legendary wrestler. And I'm not going to sit down and go, well, let me explain Democrats and Republicans, and let me explain, And I said, sometimes the crowd, I said, they just don't, they want the new stuff. They don't like the old stuff, kind of, and it bothered me that they booed him too. It bothered me because, and it's so difficult to say this because I think what he said and some of the things he's done are just abhorrent. But I also feel like as disingenuous as Hulk Hogan might be sometimes when he's talking and apologizing, and he always goes, oh man, the WWE universe forgave me when they clearly didn't. It's like, it's annoying. But at the same time, I think the boos are just as disingenuous from the majority of the people. It's almost become we hate Nickelback, right? Well, somehow they went platinum, right?
I love
yeah. So the thing is, like, and I also look at it and I go, it's Hulk Hogan. Like, that's a character on this long-running television show. It was tough. It was tough to watch in that regard. But my last thing that I'll say on the Hulk Hogan situation there, if you go back and you watch it, when that music hit, there was a huge pop that then immediately turned to boos. But people's first instinct,
of course,
was to pop. And then they were like, oh, no, I think we're supposed to, we should boo Hulk Hogan because we don't like this. That guy next to me is booing him, so I'm going to boo him too.
Obviously, look, match by match, we're not going to get into all that. We're running short on time already, but
I got all day, Dave.
I don't. But I got
all day.
So, as far as like, look, The Rock's promo, very, very corporate. Definitely, the fact that he was acknowledging Cody Rhodes and like cheers them, I was like, did we forget? Like I almost that moment kind of, what are we doing here? Like, you went over there and like dabbed him up, and I was like, bro, you whipped him with a belt for like, and you beat the shit out of each other WrestleMania weekend. And I understand like moving past it, but like you move past it. The last time we saw The Rock, he comes out, does this little 1, 2, 3, I'm going to kill you all. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever he was doing.
So,
and then and I understand he wasn't The Rock, the final boss in that moment, but he also, which was, by the way, popped my kids when he did the Maui thing. I'm like, Yahoo! Awesome. And they're just like, oh man, it's so cool.
But when The Rock came out, by the way, my son did that when he first was walking out. That's awesome. So, I blame Cody. I don't blame Rock. When he said, tell Mama Rhodes I said hello, and Cody like laughs and everything. Cody should have been accepting this stuff from The Rock with kind of like almost like a bewildered look of like, okay,
yeah, what are you up to?
You're saying some nice things. Yeah. Okay. Like that's fine. And he says the Mama Rhodes thing, and Cody should have given a little bit of like, a little bit of a look.
He could have smirked. He could have been like, yeah.
But instead he like laughed.
He's like, oh man.
But did you hear Rock on NXT last night?
I did not. I did not hear this, and I heard it was very good.
So he comes out and he addressed it. He goes, everybody, when I was talking to and I'm paraphrasing, he's like, I spent all this time, Cody Rhodes this, and I ran him down, I made him bleed and everything. And everyone goes, why are you so mean to Cody? Don't be so mean to Cody. Why are you so mean? He goes, so then last night I thought, you know what? I'm going to give him his flowers. I'm going to give him, I'm gonna tell him, you know what, Cody, you have done a great job. You have been a great, and now everyone goes, you can't be nice to Cody. Don't be nice to Cody. So he said his message to everybody is to know their role, shut their mouths, and enjoy the ride The Rock has taken you on. And I thought in a moment, bam, he went right back and was just like,
we're back.
like, hey, I tried to come out and being the nice guy that you guys kept saying I want you to be nice to Cody. So I here you go. I did it for you.
Must have put whatchamacall, friend of the show, and also somebody that we got to interact with over the weekend. That must have put LaGreca in a blender. Like, he probably
doesn't know what to do.
It's just like it can explode. And by the way, if anybody doesn't know this, and you probably don't know this, I'm going to peel back the curtain and expose Dave LaGreca for being the biggest Cody Rhodes fan in the history of fans.
Man.
He is a grown man, talking about Dave LaGreca.
Oh, yeah.
With a Cody Rhodes phone case. That's a true story.
Yep.
That's a shit. It is his phone case. He is a Cody crybaby through and through. So yeah, The Rock does his thing. Great promo, great feeling. What transpires after that, we don't know. Sticking on the promo side of things, John Cena coming out, doing his thing, announcing that he is going to enter and win the 2025 Royal Rumble. Immediately, I took to Twitter and I said, John Cena needs to win the Royal Rumble. I know this. I know the young fan is going to be like, oh, come on, bro. That spot's supposed to be for the next up-and-coming thing. No. John Cena is going to not only break Stone Cold's Royal Rumble winning record, but then he can go and win a championship and break Ric Flair's, and that's how you send him off. Now, look, I understand that John Cena is not the John Cena of old. Who knows what he has left in the tank? He keeps telling everybody that hasn't won a match in 2,800 days or some shit like that, some wild stat, right? It's true. Like, go back and look. But what I do see out of John Cena is, if this is the last year we're going to get John Cena, then I want to just get the best of John Cena. And if that's him winning the fucking Royal Rumble, I am all for that, because for me as a fan, I will be in my studio, Chop Studios in Mattawan, watching it with a couple friends. And if he wins the Rumble, I'm going to go and lose my mind and be happy about it.
So here's my take on this, okay? And I'll try to keep it brief because I know you probably have to like pee or something. So so here's my take on this. How amazing was it? Thank you, Cena. You deserve it. All these chants. No, John Cena sucks. No, all that crap. You don't know what you've got till it's gone sometimes, right? And now we get it back for one more run, and now everybody's turning around going, oh, yeah, it turns out John Cena was kind of like the greatest of all time. Like, he was amazing, and we just didn't appreciate it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, and there will be people who complain, this should go to the young guy, this should go to the young guy. John Cena wins the Royal Rumble. John Cena goes and wins the 17th championship at WrestleMania, and you'll have people all along the way, oh, God, it's not right. It's the young guy's time. It's not his time anymore, all that stuff. But John Cena has to lose that title.
Mm-hmm.
And when John Cena loses that,
he can very well make somebody.
When John Cena loses that title, John Cena's going to make the person who beat John Cena for his last title, the person who, in the end, pretty much ruined John Cena's big illustrious return.
Yeah.
And,
and I think this happens to happen relatively fast, if that makes any sense. Meaning, like, win the Rumble, win the championship, and break the record at WrestleMania, and then probably lose the championship at like SummerSlam. Just so, like,
I don't think he's going to win the Rumble, actually, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's going to win the Rumble. I think he's going to win Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, because maybe CM Punk wins the Rumble because he wants to headline and shit. But what I'm saying is, it has to happen fast. If there is a championship left in John Cena, which again nobody really knows, but like if there is, I think it has to happen. Bing, bang, boom. He's done by SummerSlam, so then he can do all those last time ever matches with other people where there's no title implications or anything like that. Because once you do that, like if you put John Cena against Randy Orton for the championship, it's like, all right, like, yeah, okay, so if Randy Orton beats him, like, we're gonna be like, oh, Randy Orton. Like,
what if the big story instead is, will John Cena retire at the end? We know he's only going through December. Will John Cena retire as champion? And then maybe take it all the way to December. And who's going to be the one who just is not going to let him retire with it?
Got it. I got it.
Okay.
If he retires with it, we're looking at a Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia next year to crown a new champion.
Yes.
Ric Flair
Except
style,
the only thing is, I think John Cena is going to want to make someone.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I'm cool with whatever. You know me,
yeah.
I'm very open to all this. Anyway,
It's going to be
we've
interesting
gone
no matter
long.
how they do it.
We've gone long on this. The matches in themselves, I think they were again, they were very good, well delivered. I think, like you said, Jay and Drew, they did what they could. I don't know if all the chemistry was there.
Contact high.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and
what's his name?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know. I think Triple H's line in the post show where he said he's just so very happy for Jay for just saying no.
Yeah.
Because he could have absolutely taken a little puff on the way down. But he did not, thank God. And look, the tribal combat with Roman Reigns, you felt like that WrestleMania cluster feel where it was just like person after person after person.
It's
after
not
person.
over.
Wait.
I know LaGreca said on Busted Open he thinks it's over. Now this was the end of it. No, dude, it's just getting started. It is just getting started. Because here's a question, man. Jacob Fatu, is he going to acknowledge? Solo will acknowledge, I think. And Solo told Tamatanga that he will acknowledge Roman if Roman beat him. But Jacob Fatu,
I'm very signing up for a Roman Jacob Fatu feud. I'm very signing up for that. And of course, we all got taken home. Obviously, Rhea Ripley wins back the women's championship. She beats Liv Morgan.
Yeah, I know you got to go, but I'm sorry. The Undertaker. Why?
I thought it was awesome.
No.
You don't like that?
Here's the thing. The American Badass wasn't one of my...
I saw your fucking tweet.
Wasn't one of my favorite times.
I can't be the only one who likes the American Badass.
No, there's a couple schmucks out there, but... Look, the American Badass was what it was. It was fine, right? And it's fine if you want him out there, but it's inconsequential. That spot should have been the return of Charlotte, should have been the return of Becky Lynch, should have been something.
They can't give you everything on one night, Josh.
Then it should have been Rhea Ripley celebrating at the top and go to break, because The Undertaker felt shoehorned. He rode his motorcycle and then threw up the hand and looked back and left. And why? For what reason?
I think it was to kind of put over Rhea's win together.
Yeah.
Listen, they can't give you everything on one night, because you know what?
No, they can't give you everything, but I don't think they needed to give. I like the idea of The Undertaker being on the show. He main evented the first show. By the way, where was Damian Demanto?
That's what I want to know.
But The Undertaker, I just, first of all, everyone,
horrible character.
Everyone pops for the gong.
Dong.
They go nuts. The lights go out. They pop, and then the freaking American Badass comes out, and everybody just kind of goes like, "Meh."
No, that's where you're wrong. I wholeheartedly agree. I disagree with you there. I can't. The American Badass thing was freaking awesome for me. I thought it was cool. Obviously, the show ends with a incredible banger of a main event between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. They really told you a story, and I tell you what, I don't know if there was a mutual handshake in the back, but stiff is how I can define a lot of that stuff. I don't know about you, Josh, but I feel like those knuckles were meeting forehead. You know what I mean? They were giving it 110%. And maybe there is that animosity between the two that was really starting to show through on a thing where it's all scripted and choreographed. These guys literally have some kind of ill taste in their mouth with each other because of the fact that CM Punk, left for the bag, right? And then comes back, thinks he can secure the spot. But the fact that CM Punk wins this match goes to show you how much of a professional that Seth Rollins really is. Willing to play ball like he did at WrestleMania, like he did here. Seth Rollins is, and I'm not the biggest Seth Rollins guy. I know there's a lot of big Seth Rollins fans out there. The whole Joaquin Phoenix Joker vibe thing, I just never resonated with me. I like the architect. I like that, but this is a little too much. But he showed specifically in the promo the week before and then going into this match that he was going to dial it up, and he dialed it up, and he looked fantastic. And I think the match went as well as you could possibly hope it would go, and look and feel like a real fucking fight, Josh.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Some people felt that it wasn't like as. I think the crowd was burnt out.
I was gonna say maybe they're tired. Yeah, that makes
I think
sense.
3 hours of a lot of stuff in the first hour or two. I think the Hogan thing killed the crowd in a lot of ways. But I thought it was I thought it was a really good match. I think that, and this was mentioned on Busted Open too. They were talking about this event being bigger than WrestleMania, like bigger than any WrestleMania because of the meaning of this event, you know, what it meant to the company and everything. And I don't know that I agree with that.
LaGreca was on board and saying it was bigger than WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I'll just piggyback and say it was bigger than some WrestleManias.
Yeah, I don't know that it was bigger than WrestleMania. I don't because this one's not going to live forever in the same way. But I think from a branding standpoint for the company, I think this was as big a show as they've ever done in that regard. And I think the fact that, and they mentioned this, and I think the fact that, you know, CM Punk was not only the main event, but was the last face that you saw and everything, I think just speaks volumes of the professionalism that CM Punk has, returning to the company in the way that he has been a team player and the, you know, the attitude that he has had. Because if CM Punk was coming with any of this, you know, attitude that some people have suggested he's had in the past, he's not in that spot. It's not happening. And he earned this spot back. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the company. You know, the Bucks are still doing their victory lap somewhere, but at least they won a
They actually, truth be told, the last time I saw CM Punk wear that jacket, he was getting in a fight.
Yeah, just choking someone a little.
Just choking a little bit. Just a little chokesy McChokerson.
Yeah.
But overall, great start. I'm very, very excited for, you know, Seattle.
Oh yeah.
Very excited.
My son was disappointed that he wasn't there.
He'll be there next week against Chad Gable. And what better guy to put him over?
God, it's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be a very, very good match.
I can't wait to see him with a WWE presentation.
Right.
That's gonna be so cool.
It's going to be very cool. And they don't have somebody like that right now on the roster. No. They really don't. They got luchadors, yeah.
They got the LWO, which to me is just like, hey, I've got a bag of Latino wrestlers. Do you want to pick one? And they haven't been, you know, so this is a guy who's a character, who's a, you know, a personality, and just with, man, the history behind him. So I'm excited for that. I think it's a blessing in disguise that Ray Fenix can't come yet, because I think now we get to tell that story slowly. I think we get to, you know, have him appear at some point. I also think that you're going to see, for the first time in a long time, a luchador treated not as a luchador, but treated as a big star, not an attraction. So I think, you know, not since Ray has there really been
very
anything
fair.
Like that. So
It's not a bold prediction, because that's something that I think is way overdue for the WWE. And like I said, top to bottom, the show rocked. It's a kickoff. They even gave Gunther a vignette where it was very well shot and very well delivered. So everybody who didn't get a spot, I'm hearing rumors that Becky Lynch has re-signed with the WWE. So let's see where she pops up and how she pops up. Charlotte is on the mend. She'll probably be back for the Rumble, you would think. Yeah. It's an exciting time for professional wrestling right now. And that's why, and just like Tommy Dreamer said, or if it wasn't Tommy, it was either Hale or Vic, one of the three guys that were doing that meeting at ACW. But now's the time, guys. If you're in this business, now's the time to treat every single event that you're at, whether it be at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center or the local VFW Lodge, no matter where you're at. Bring the professionalism, bring your story, bring your gear, bring your personality, and bring your skill set, because there is no better time than right now to be in professional wrestling. And that's why me and Josh are so grateful for everything that's been going on, because I feel like, and just like you said before about the imposter syndrome of why am I here? Why am I here? Well, I tell you what, after that show and after the response I've been getting for the last couple days, I know why the fuck I'm there. you know, and it feels good. So professional wrestling's on the rise once again, another boom period. Stay tuned to the Wrestling Hour for all of the updates, and we'll recap next week's Raw, maybe touch on some SmackDown stuff that may transpire, which is, I believe, moved to 3 hours on USA Network. So that's going to be even more of a loaded show.
Too long, but so.
I agree. But let's
blue canvas.
Let's do that. Let's just change some
shit up. They have
a
blue canvas.
Shout out to the referees with new shirts. I think they looked all clean. It was just a really cool look for everybody.
Yeah.
Had the, the referee cam, which is, innovative, but at the same time,
it won't last. But yeah,
it won't last. But we'll see how that goes. But anyway, guys, listen, if you like what you heard and you're liking what you're listening to each and every week, please let us know, whether it be on a comment on, Twitter or drop something on Instagram or whatever. Let us know that you're watching the show every week. We'd love to hear the feedback.
And if you don't like it, I don't want to hear your negativity.
So actually, if you don't like it, you can send your negativity to, I'll give you his number. He's a promoter for WrestlePro. I'm kidding. I love him. Listen, well, no, I've said nice, kind things. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Dave Sturchio, Josh Shernoff. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Wrestling Hour. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy all the professional wrestling. We'll see you guys next week.